After I brought them back, second young master stared at those things for a very long time. His expression remained calm, while I stood nearby without even daring to breathe loudly. "Quite fast," he finally said. I immediately replied, "That carpenter is very skilled." Second young master merely glanced at me silently, and I lowered my head and obediently shut my mouth. I felt that deep inside, second young master was suffering terribly. The way he shoved the bamboo tube onto his leg was extremely rough. I stepped forward to help him. His hands trembled, his head lowered so deeply that I could not see his face. "Second young master, please be gentler." His hands froze instantly, and after that, he let me do the rest. Second young master wedged the two crutches beneath his arms. Their length fit him perfectly, which meant they only reached my chest. He braced himself on both arms, his body swaying slightly. Then he crashed heavily onto the floor. I hurried over to help him up, but second young master told me to move aside. I watched him crawl up from the ground by himself, then continue trying again. I had never realized that now, second young master could stand up so easily on his own. Afterward, he spent every day practicing with the crutches. At first, he fell so often that his entire body became covered in bruises. Slowly, however, he became more skilled at walking and eventually could even toss aside the left crutch and move using only one leg. Of course, the consequence of such intense practice was that the stump of his missing leg became rubbed raw and bloody. Every time medicine was applied, second young master would grit his teeth in pain. Once, unable to hold back any longer, I told him he should practice less and take things slowly. Second young master shook his head. At this time every year, tea merchants from the capital gather in Hangzhou. When that season comes, tea leaves are traded in large quantities, and there are many business opportunities. At the very least, I must be able to walk proficiently before then. I did not dare say aloud, "Second young master, in your current state, can you truly still conduct business?" Eventually, however, second young master became very skilled at walking. During the trading season, there was usually a tea house beside West Lake used for business discussions. Second young master often went there, ordered a pot of top-grade Longjing tea, poured hot water over it, and then sat there without leaving. Many people in the tea house recognized him as the former second son of the Yang family. Seeing him in his current condition, they whispered mocking remarks behind his back, sometimes intentionally loud enough for him to hear. Yet second young master acted as though he were deaf. He crossed his leg, leaned on his crutch, softly hummed a tune, and gazed at the scenery outside. That day, after entering the tea house, his eyes swept around and landed on a nearby table occupied by 3 people. 2 of them were playing chess. Second young master supported himself on his crutches and walked over. As he approached the table, the 2 younger men both looked toward him. Only the old man remained staring at the chessboard without moving. Second young master was barely taller than the table itself. He supported himself against a chair with his left hand, pushed upward with his right, and climbed onto the empty seat. The 2 younger men frowned upon seeing this and were about to chase him away. But second young master spoke first. "If you don't move the horse now, 3 moves later, your pawn will force a checkmate." Only then did the old man raise his head and glance at him. "Young man, watching chess without speaking is the conduct of a gentleman." Second young master smiled and patted the shoulder of the young man playing against the elder. "This brat doesn't dare win. I'm merely helping him out of his dire situation." The young man's face immediately reddened. "What do you mean I don't dare win?" "Elder Lin, don't listen to him." The old man laughed heartily and sized second young master up from head to toe. "You are Yang Hushin's son?" Second young master nodded. The old man noticed his leg, but said nothing. Afterward, second young master chatted with the old man for an entire afternoon. I could not understand what they discussed, but I did notice many people around us watching them. Before leaving, second young master announced that he would pay for the table's tea. There had clearly only been 2 pots of tea, yet the bill consumed all the money the 2 of us had saved for the month. Even my heart ached for the expense, but since second young master had spoken, I did not dare object. As we were leaving, Second young master walked ahead first. I overheard the young man asking the elder behind us, "Elder Lin, is that man truly Uncle Yang's second son?" Hearing them mention second young master, I slowed my pace. By the time I reached the corner, I caught a few more sentences. The old man hummed an affirmation. "When I was in the capital, I heard stories about him," the young man said with a frown. "They said he was a spoiled wastrel, addicted to pleasure and gambling, ignorant and arrogant. Why would you entrust such an important shipment to him?" The old man chuckled deeply. "And you believe he is truly ignorant and worthless?" The young man paused before replying quietly. "Even if he has some intelligence, his character is still inferior." The old man asked, "Minlang, tell me this. What do you think is the most precious thing in this world?" In my heart, I answered silently, "Mountains of gold and silver." The young man apparently thought the same as I did. "The most precious thing? Of course it's wealth and treasure." The old man shook his head. "Then what is it?" The old man lifted his teacup, seemingly recalling something. He slowly smiled and said in a low voice, "The most precious thing in this world is a prodigal son who turns back."